You become what you repeatedly think. The human mind is the greatest workshop of creation ever known. It is the invisible forge where destinies are built, fortunes are shaped, and legacies are carved. Every invention, every empire, every breakthrough that has changed the course of human history began not with steel, not with gold, not with armies, but with a single thought, multiplied, magnified, and repeated until it became reality. Understand this truth. You become what you repeatedly think, not occasionally, not once in a while, but consistently. The thoughts you allow to dominate your inner world become the architects of your outer world. They shape your actions, your habits, your character, and ultimately, your future. When Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before lighting the world with his invention, he did not see failure, he saw feedback. His mind did not dwell on defeat. It repeated visions of illumination of homes and cities touched by light. And because he fed that thought, because he held it long enough, the world was transformed. When Abraham Lincoln faced loss after loss, heartbreak after heartbreak, he could have surrendered to despair. Instead, he kept thinking freedom. He kept thinking union. He kept thinking justice. And though he carried the weight of war and the burden of a divided nation, his dominant thought, unyielding and unwavering, became reality, and a fractured people found a new beginning. What about you? What thoughts do you rehearse day after day, year after year? Because repetition is not passive, it is programming. Your mind is like fertile soil. Plant seeds of doubt and fear, and weeds will choke your potential. Plant seeds of vision and courage, and a harvest of greatness will rise. This is why belief is not just a feeling, it is a discipline. To believe is to choose over and over the thought that serves your destiny rather than the thought that feeds your defeat. Most people let their thoughts wander like a wild horse with no rider, running toward worry, envy, and complaint. But the great ones, the builders of empires, the creators of wealth, the visionaries of progress, they seize the reins, they direct the mind. They choose thoughts that align with purpose, and they repeat them until they become convictions. If you say to yourself long enough, I am weak, I am unlucky, I am not enough, your subconscious will find a way to make it true. But if you declare with repetition, I am capable, I am disciplined, I am destined for more, then every fiber of your being will begin to align with that declaration. The mind cannot resist the command of repeated thought. It bends reality to match belief. Think of Andrew Carnegie, born into poverty, a boy working in factories for pennies. But while his body was bent over machines, his mind was filled with images of fortune, of steel, of greatness. He thought it, he breathed it, he lived it in his imagination until the world had no choice but to mirror what he repeatedly believed. From rags to becoming one of the richest men of his time, his empire was first constructed in his thoughts. The truth is simple, yet most reject it because it demands responsibility. It's easier to blame chance, luck, circumstance. But Napoleon Hill was right when he said, there are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. Your mind is the compass of your life. If you aim it at fear, you will find reasons to shrink. If you aim it at courage, you will discover paths you never knew existed. Repeated thought is the law of direction. Repeated thought is the law of transformation. Picture a sculptor with a chisel, striking the same stone again and again. At first, nothing happens, but with each strike, the stone weakens until it breaks open to reveal form and beauty. So it is with your mind. Each repeated thought is a strike against the stone of limitation. Each affirmation, each vision, each belief repeated with intensity carves away doubt until only greatness remains. Do not be fooled into thinking that one thought alone will change your life. It won't. It is the repetition, the daily, hourly, unrelenting hammer of belief that makes it so. A single drop of water does nothing, but repeated drops carve valleys through rock. So too your thoughts carve valleys through your reality. And if you still doubt this law, look around. Every success and every failure you see in the lives of others is nothing more than the external manifestation of their dominant thought. The wealthy man who once envisioned his prosperity, the artist who once dreamed her masterpiece, the leader who once imagined a nation reborn, the addict who told himself he could not escape. the bitter soul who rehearsed resentment until it became his identity. They are all proof of the same truth: you become what you repeatedly think. So I ask you now, what is playing on the screen of your mind? What vision are you rehearsing day after day? Is it a vision of defeat or a vision of destiny? Are you programming yourself for mediocrity, or are you building the internal kingdom of greatness? Because whether you do it intentionally or by neglect, your thoughts are shaping you this very moment. Do not let small, toxic, defeated thoughts rent space in the palace of your mind. Guard it like the most sacred fortress, because it is. Feed it with visions that scare you, with dreams that ignite you, with beliefs that stretch you. For as surely as the night follows the day, what you feed your mind will soon feed your reality. Discipline is the bridge between what you think and what you live. Without discipline, thoughts remain only whispers in the mind, shadows of potential that never see the light of reality. You can dream all day, you can visualize 1,000 nights, but unless discipline fastens those dreams to action, they dissolve like mist in the morning sun. Think of the great builders of history, Henry Ford, who imagined a car for the common man, not the privileged few. His thought was bold, but it was discipline that turned his thought into the assembly line, into factories, into a revolution in transportation. Without discipline, Ford would have been only a dreamer. With it, he became an architect of modern industry. Discipline is not punishment, it is power. It is the ability to command yourself to act not according to moods, but according to mission. Most people live as slaves to impulse. They work when they feel like it, quit when it gets hard, chase distraction when focus is required. But the disciplined man, the disciplined woman, rises above feelings and submits to vision. They understand that freedom is not found in ease, it is found in mastery of self. And mastery begins with clarity. You cannot discipline yourself toward a fog. You must know what you want. You must see it in vivid detail. A sailor does not set sail without a compass and a destination, and yet most people drift through life without a chart. They wonder why they feel lost. They wonder why the years slip by without achievement. It is because they never defined their purpose, never fixed their gaze on a worthy vision. The mind craves direction. It needs a target, and once that target is chosen, once it is impressed upon the mind with repetition and clarity, discipline builds the road that leads to it. Imagine the power of a laser light that is concentrated, focused, disciplined into a single beam can cut through steel. But light scattered, unfocused is harmless. So too with your mind. Purpose sharpens, vision focuses, discipline carries. Together they are unstoppable. Consider Walt Disney, a man who was fired from a newspaper for lacking creativity, a man who went bankrupt more than once, but his mind never let go of the thought that imagination could build an empire. He saw castles where others saw swamps, he saw stories where others saw cartoons, he saw an entire kingdom of wonder where others saw only risk. His vision was mocked, resisted, doubted, yet through discipline, through relentless pursuit, through repeated action, his thought became Disneyland, a living monument to the power of imagination made real. Do not think small thoughts. Small thoughts lead to small lives. A man who thinks only of survival will survive but never live. A woman who thinks only of comfort will be comfortable but never great. It is those who dare to think grandly, to think courageously, to think with the audacity of purpose, who awaken the hidden forces of their mind and bend reality toward destiny. But hear this warning: the mind is loyal to repetition, not to truth. If you repeatedly think weakness, it will build weakness. If you repeatedly think scarcity, it will build scarcity. The mind does not care whether your thought empowers you or destroys you. It only obeys the law of repetition. So if you wish to rise, you must take command of that law. You must discipline yourself to feed your mind with visions that elevate you. You must choose the thoughts that align with your highest self and repeat them until they burn into your subconscious. Every day, every hour, every moment you hold that vision, you etch it deeper into the architecture of your being. When Napoleon Hill wrote of definiteness of purpose, he meant this: to choose a single aim and bind your mind to it until nothing can shake it loose. The world respects the focused. Opportunities flow to the decisive. Fortune bends toward the unshakable. But the vague, the wandering, the uncertain, they attract nothing but confusion. Do not scatter your energy on 100 pursuits. Pick one vision worthy of your soul and commit to it with everything you have. Repeat it until it consumes you. Think it until it becomes instinct. Live it until the world has no choice but to acknowledge it. And when the storm comes, and it will come, when obstacles rise like mountains and resistance pounds against you, remember this: resilience is born not from comfort, but from repetition of belief. Each time you fall and rise again, you prove to yourself that your thought is stronger than circumstance. Each trial is not a setback, but a hammer striking your character, forging you into something unbreakable. Think of Lincoln again. How many defeats did he face? How many times did the world tell him he was finished? Yet he refused to think defeat. He thought freedom, he thought purpose, he thought unity, and because he refused to abandon those repeated thoughts, history bent in his favor. So when you are tired, when the night feels endless, when failure whispers that you should quit, do not give your mind to that poison. Hold your vision tighter. Repeat your thought louder. Tell yourself again, I am capable. I am unbreakable. I am destined. Because you become what you repeatedly think, and resilience is nothing more than the stubborn refusal to abandon your thought. And in time, the world will yield. It must. Reality has no choice but to obey the master who has mastered his mind. Greatness is not found in those who never stumble. It is found in those who, no matter how many times they fall, rise again with sharper clarity and stronger resolve. Resilience is the muscle of the mind, built not in comfort but in resistance. Just as steel is tempered in fire, character is tempered in trial. The question is, never will obstacles come. They will. The question is, what will you think when they do? The average person interprets difficulty as a signal to quit. The extraordinary person interprets difficulty as proof that the path is worth walking. Every mountain climbed is evidence that higher ground exists. Every storm endured is confirmation that the sun will rise. The resilient do not ask for life to be easy. They ask for the strength to remain unbroken when life is hard. History is a library filled with men and women who mastered this truth. Helen Keller, deaf and blind from infancy, did not let darkness and silence dictate her destiny. With the power of thought, repeated and reinforced, she carved her way into the world, became an author, a teacher, a voice for millions. She proved that the barriers around you matter less than the vision within you. Resilience alone, however, is not enough. Life demands adaptability, the ability to bend without breaking, to change without losing your essence, to shift course without abandoning the destination. The oak that cannot sway in the storm will snap. The reed that bends survives. And so it is with the human spirit. Andrew Carnegie did not rise to wealth by holding rigidly to old methods. He adapted. He embraced new technologies, new strategies, new visions. Henry Ford faced financial collapse more than once, yet adapted his approach until the assembly line redefined an industry. The greatest minds know this. Change is not the enemy. Resistance to change is. You must be willing to adjust your tactics, but never your vision. Your purpose remains constant, but your strategies must be fluid. Think, adapt, grow. When the world shifts, do not curse the tides. Learn to sail with them. For the mind that is both resilient and adaptable is unstoppable. It can withstand storms and still reach the shore. And as you adapt, as you endure, you must anchor yourself in gratitude. Gratitude is not weakness, it is strength. It is the power to see abundance even in scarcity, to recognize opportunity even in loss. Gratitude transforms the mind from lack to wealth. It sharpens the eyes to notice blessings overlooked by the ungrateful. Napoleon Hill spoke often of a wealth consciousness. Gratitude is the soil where wealth consciousness grows. When you appreciate what you already have, you broadcast to your mind that abundance exists. You condition yourself to attract more. The ungrateful see only what is missing. The grateful see what is multiplying. Consider Thomas Edison again. After his laboratory burned to the ground, destroying years of research, he did not despair. Instead, he said, "Thank God all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start again fresh." That is gratitude. That is wealth consciousness. That is the mind of a man who refuses to see failure, who chooses to see fortune even in flames. Wealth consciousness does not mean mere money. It means abundance in all things, richness of thought, richness of opportunity, richness of life. And yet, money is part of it, because money is a servant to vision. Do not think of money as scarce, as unattainable. Think of it as a tool, a resource that flows toward value, toward courage, toward those who believe they are worthy of it. If you repeatedly think scarcity, I can't afford it, I'll never make it. Money is evil, you repel wealth. But if you repeatedly think abundance, I am worthy of success, I create value, money is a tool in my hands, you attract it. Your thoughts act like magnets, pulling into your life the conditions that mirror them. Look at the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Fords. Were they without flaws? Number. But they understood the law. Wealth begins in the mind before it exists in the bank. Fortune is first imagined, then built. Every skyscraper was once a thought. Every fortune was once a dream. Every empire was once an idea. And you are no different. You hold within you the same tool they held, the power of repeated thought. If you feed your mind with defeat, you will live defeated. If you feed it with vision, you will live victorious. Wealth consciousness is not reserved for a chosen few. It is the birthright of every man and woman willing to master their mind. But do not misunderstand. Wealth is not handed to the dreamer who dreams without action. Wealth is attracted to the thinker who repeats his thought with conviction and backs it with discipline, persistence, and courage. Wealth is attracted to the one who, when knocked down, rises again, to the one who adapts when the world changes, to the one who, in the face of loss, still whispers, "Thank you." Because gratitude is not passive, it is creative. Gratitude multiplies. Gratitude transforms defeat into wisdom, pain into strength, scarcity into abundance. When you are grateful, you shift your thoughts toward what is good, and what you think repeatedly, you become. So if you wish to live in wealth, in strength, in freedom, begin today with this choice: to take control of your thoughts, to repeat only those that elevate you, to discipline yourself into alignment with your vision, to rise with resilience, to adapt with courage, to give thanks with sincerity. For the mind, once trained, becomes the greatest force in the universe. It is the unseen engine behind every fortune, the invisible architect of every empire, the eternal truth behind every success. You become what you repeatedly think. Thought without action is a seed that never meets the soil. Action is the great equalizer, the proof of belief, the evidence of conviction. You can think wealth, you can think greatness, but until you move your body, until you take steps in alignment with your vision, nothing materializes. The world does not reward intention. It rewards execution. Andrew Carnegie once said, "As I grow older, I pay less attention to what men say. I just watch what they do, because talk is cheap. Thought without action is empty. But action, consistent, deliberate, purposeful action, is the gold standard of achievement." Yet action alone is not enough. For most people act in bursts. They start with fire, then fade into ashes when adversity rises. The true alchemy of greatness lies in persistence. Persistence is the iron will that refuses to bow to failure, the unbreakable rhythm of trying again and again and again until the wall cracks, until the gate opens, until destiny yields. Think of Colonel Sanders, rejected over 1,000 times before someone agreed to carry his recipe. Most would have quit at rejection number 10 or 20 or 100. But persistence carried him beyond ridicule, beyond denial, beyond age itself. And because he refused to surrender the thought that his recipe mattered, the world eventually surrendered to his persistence. Persistence is a cousin of courage, for it takes courage to act once, but it takes far greater courage to act 100 times when failure greets you at every turn. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of it. It is the refusal to let fear decide your fate. Courage built the railroads across untamed wilderness. Courage sailed ships across oceans never charted. Courage stood in courtrooms to fight for justice when the odds were stacked against it. Courage refused to quit when the world said, "Enough." Without courage, every thought dies at the door of fear. With courage, every thought has a chance to live. Do not wait for fear to leave before you act. It will not. Fear is a permanent companion of growth. The man without fear is not brave, he is asleep. Bravery belongs to the one who feels fear and advances anyway. So take the thought you have repeated, the vision you have etched into your soul, and step boldly into action. Let persistence drive you through failure. Let courage silence doubt. And remember, you do not need to see the entire path to begin. When Edison worked on his inventions, he did not wait for perfect knowledge. He experimented, he failed, he learned, he advanced. Action itself revealed the way. You do not climb a mountain by staring at the peak. You climb by placing one foot after the other again and again until the summit is beneath your feet. Most people die with their dreams still inside them, not because they lack the vision, but because they lack the persistence to endure and the courage to continue. Do not let that be you. Refuse to be numbered among the timid souls who settled for mediocrity because they could not command their thoughts into action. Action, persistence, and courage form the trinity of creation. Together they transform invisible thought into visible reality. They are the bridge between the mind and the world, between belief and achievement, between desire and destiny. But even as you act, even as you persist, you must learn. For the mind that refuses to learn, that clings stubbornly to ignorance, is doomed to repeat its failures. Learning is not weakness. Learning is evolution. Every defeat is a lesson. Every mistake is instruction. Every loss contains within it the seed of equal or greater opportunity, if only you will think it so. Henry Ford once said, "Failure is only the opportunity to begin again more intelligently." That is the spirit of a learner. That is the essence of progress. Do not waste energy resenting your failures. Study them, extract their wisdom, refine your strategy, adjust your approach, then persist again. The mind that repeats destructive thoughts says, "I failed, therefore I am a failure." The mind that repeats empowering thought says, "I failed, therefore I learned. I learned, therefore I advance. I advance, therefore I will succeed." And here lies the final truth. Everything you desire, wealth, freedom, purpose, legacy, already exists within the power of your repeated thought. The blueprint of your life is etched in your imagination. The question is not whether you can achieve it. The question is, will you think it long enough, clearly enough, persistently enough, courageously enough to make it real? Because no law is more certain, no truth more eternal than this. You become what you repeatedly think. So think boldly, think courageously, think abundantly, think with gratitude, think with persistence, think with purpose, and then act, adapt, learn, and rise again. For the world does not belong to the timid. It belongs to the thinkers who dared to command their thoughts into reality. It belongs to the ones who, like Edison, like Lincoln, like Carnegie, like Disney, refuse to surrender their vision. And if you too refuse, if you choose your thoughts, repeat them with discipline, back them with action, fuel them with persistence, protect them with courage, refine them with learning, and surround them with gratitude, then there is no force on earth that can stop you. For you will have become the master of your mind, and in mastering your mind, you master your destiny. The story of humanity is the story of thought made flesh. The skyscrapers that pierce the sky, the bridges that stretch across rivers, the machines that fly across oceans, the empires that rose from dust, all of them once existed only in the quiet chambers of the mind. And the same law that gave birth to those wonders lives inside you. You are not small. You are not powerless. You are not a prisoner of chance. You are the architect of your destiny, the commander of your fate, the sculptor of your future. And the tool in your hand, sharper than any blade, more powerful than any army, is the thought you choose to repeat. Think of it every day. You are writing a script in the theater of your mind. You can write a tragedy filled with doubt, fear, excuses, and surrender. Or you can write an epic filled with courage, resilience, triumph, and glory. The pen is yours. The choice is yours. If you dwell on weakness, weakness will become your cage. If you dwell on possibility, possibility will become your wings. If you dwell on fear, fear will chain you. If you dwell on vision, vision will lift you higher than you ever dreamed. Do not underestimate the simple repetition of thought. A river does not cut through rock because of force, but because of persistence. Every drop, every strike, every repetition until the stone yields. So too, your repeated thoughts carve valleys into your reality. And one day, you will look around at your life and realize it is nothing more and nothing less than the reflection of the thoughts you repeated most. So feed your mind like a warrior feeds his body before battle. Feed it with visions of victory. Feed it with beliefs that empower. Feed it with gratitude that multiplies. Feed it with courage that overcomes fear. And when doubt comes knocking, when failure whispers, when the world tells you to quit, repeat your thought again, hold it again, declare it again, until the noise is silenced and only truth remains. The truth that you are capable, the truth that you are chosen, the truth that you are more than circumstance, more than history, more than fear, the truth that you are becoming exactly what you repeatedly think. This is the eternal law. This is the golden key. This is the unseen power that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary, the wealthy from the poor, the free from the trapped. So take it, hold it, live it, refuse to surrender it, and let your life become a living testament to its power. Because when the final chapter of your story is written, let it not be said that you drifted with the tide, that you surrendered to fear, that you abandoned your dreams. Let it be said that you mastered your mind, that you forged your destiny, that you thought yourself into greatness. For as surely as the sun rises, as surely as the seasons change, as surely as every seed produces after its kind, you become what you repeatedly think. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Think and grow rich.